every single time I see you. You don't know nothing else about me, and I don't know nothing else about you.
It's not something that was in our culture, but we wouldn't take pride in our whole genealogy, where we came from. We didn't pass it on and on and on.
That's the biggest strategic move to disrupt a culture. It was accomplished. Our ancestors been through so much. We literally are the dreams of Martin Luther King.
When we talk about family and friends, why the struggle for family with us as a people is a challenge.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Today for Tomorrow podcast. This topic right now, I hope, there's no hard feelings. If you people watching, but I want to go into a subject that I feel like has to be addressed. It's family over friends, question mark. That question mark is really important because just diving right into it. I think we are living in different times now. Like there's an old saying that blood is thicker than water. Family over everything else. Family first. And I feel like, y'all let me know. There's been a huge shift in the way that we think about this concept, because for me, and the reason I bring this up, the reason we introduced this subject at all is because, man, I've been to way too many funerals this year. Like, just being real, I've been to way too many funerals this year. And the thing is, I've been in the emergency room more times than I've needed to be, or than I've ever wanted to be. I've been at more funerals more than I've ever wanted to be. I've gotten more phone calls about some sort of crisis than I've ever wanted to get this year. And the thing is, after the 600,000 funeral, you walk in and I'm thinking, like, I'm having these thoughts, like I was here to, so the people at home could still watch it. So I was trying to set up the live and everything. And so, but it was someone who I'm related to, but I never knew. So I'm having a completely different experience at this funeral versus the best friend of the person who was there, or the daughter of the person who was there. They're in there, they are bawling their eyes out. I'm in here, I'm just doing what I came here to do, and I'm being here for the people who feel this. But I brought that up because, like, I'm on the way home. I forgot how we ended up on the phone, but.
Well, we were talking about something else, and then you was telling me about your day.
Yeah, so, yeah, right. It's typically how it happens. So I was telling Rodney about, like, man, this just, I don't, like, I know I'm not crazy, but, some people will be like, oh man, if they're related to you, if they're your blood, then, you gotta drop everything. Like if they're your blood and they in Texas and you in Michigan, you drop everything for your family. But it's like, there's a lot of people like this. There's a lot of people in my family who I don't really know. Like I don't even know your real name a lot of the times. Like, in reality, I know your nickname because that's what I was told as a kid, and that's what they told me to call you. And I don't know who you are past this nickname. I don't know what your daily struggles are. I don't know what your challenges are. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what you care about. I don't know what keeps you up at night. I don't know anything past the food that you like to eat at the family reunion and the fact that you keep asking me the same question every time I see you. So how in the world could I hold this person who I barely know in a higher regard than somebody who's been in the trenches with me, who I talk to every single day, and who has a real bond with me to the point where if something was going down, I'm calling them and not you?
I hear you, because it's relatives that you like are distant relatives. You don't really have any contact. You don't even know who they are, but they're your relatives. So there's a link or a bond there. Mm-hmm. And that's that we come from the same tree type thing. And now the other question is, your loyalty to them or your commitment to them because they're your relative. And I think that, at least in my mind, is based on the relationship I have with that individual. If I got a cousin that we grew up like brothers and we cool and all that, something go down, I'm there for you. I'm there. But if I got a cousin who I saw every once in a while and they call me out the blue, hey, Rod, I need $1,000. I'm like, what's up, man? You know, I don't know if I can help you with that. You know what I'm saying? And if I got a friend who called me up, who's my homie, we've been tight forever, and it's like, oh, we just like tight like that. They say, hey, I need this. I'm like, all right, dog, what do you need it?
And you probably already know why they would be asking that.
Yeah, relationship. So that there are certain things related to what I call the blood connection that you feel like, hey, you know what? Yeah, that's my blood. So I need, you know, I got to give this a chance to a certain degree. But at the same time, that don't give nobody like carte blanche just to come in and bust in my life and I'm going to alter everything for that person. It got to be about the relationship too.
You my cousin. I need somewhere to live. I move in with you.
I think it's a very touchy subject. And, you know, it's interesting that, you know, we're on the Today for Tomorrow podcast, and we kind of have not maybe completely different generations, but we do come from, you know, different time periods. And what I found was, you know, like with my parents, for example, we talk about this all the time. So like, oh yeah, you know, your cousin is so-and-so, and that's so-and-so's daughter. And you're like, okay, cool. And I understand because I know how my parents grew up. They grew up, you know, kind of in one area. They did a lot of things with the cousins and aunts. Me, however, I moved around and, you know, I knew some people, but then just being honest, we weren't connected as much as we probably should have been. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing but love for my family. If you're my blood family, automatically we have some type of connection. But I understand what you're saying, where it's like, all right, well, the daily process of getting to know each other and just being in the trenches with somebody, that counts for a lot. Like, I have friends that have become family. Like, my kids call them uncles. Like, that's your uncle so-and-so. And my kids are at the age now where they'll ask, like, how are we related to uncle? I'll say, well, and I'll tell them, like, listen, you know, we grew up together. We played ball together. We you know, on the field, blood, sweat, and tears. Just like, we created a bond through something that we shared in common, and we really got to know each other. Because I'm the type of person, when you have to really know somebody, and to know somebody, you have to see them in all elements. Like, I love, you know, I have a lot of friends that I met on the football field because I know what type of character you have. When things get tough, how do you really react? And they know what type of character I have. I don't back down. I'll never leave my brother. Like, I don't care what's going on. And that's how we ended up bonding, because we like, listen, when the pressure was on, this person showed up. Now, going back to family over friends, the challenge is a lot of those, what I call old school principles, they weren't really passed down and held on to. And so now you have families that, you know, you barely know each other. You to be honest, most people keep up with each other on Facebook. That's the extent of you knowing, oh, I saw so-and-so, congratulations, I seen that you just got a promotion. Great, you know, but that's not the same as, like you said, having an actual person that I can pick up the phone, or if I'm having a vulnerable moment, like, listen, I'm going through something. Anxiety, we were just having a conversation about anxiety earlier today. That's not something that, you know, I guess now you share it with the world, but normally that's something you talk to a trusted friend, or, you know, but it's important that you have people in your life that you can. To me, that's family. Like, you know, blood is one thing, but that's family also.
And maybe I think it's worth us talking about this too, and you said it already, how the families change.
Yeah.
Because you talked about generations, and I think about growing up, you know, our family, we would go from the South, Mississippi, Memphis, right, from Chicago, every year in August, we would roll to Mississippi, Memphis for 2 weeks vacation as a kid. So I played with my cousins. Like, that's what we said. We grew up like brothers and sisters, you know, so it's like, you know, hey, you grew up knowing each other. We grew up having those experiences. Like, I ain't gonna share all the experiences. But anyway, the point though, we did stuff that, you know, that whole looking at, I knew what that cousin was like, we got through this together or whatever, so that bond. But you don't see that in families anymore. The reunion, family reunions, those interactions with, you brought up Facebook, social media, that has replaced real in-person interactions and experiences.
I mean, before I graduated from high school, I went to 13 different schools. I was not we lived a completely different life than a lot of my family. And so the only time that I would see these people was at family reunions. And the reason I'd kind of have no interest in it is because every time I'd come back, it's like, hey, Martell, you still doing? I'm like, I'm 25 years old, bro. I ain't been running track in a long time. You keep asking me the same, there's a templated 3 questions that get asked in order every single time I see you. And you don't know nothing else about me, and I don't know nothing else about you. And so it's we go through the same pattern every single time, and there's nothing gained. I don't even it's just uninteresting.
Years ago, I went back down south with my parents, and I wanted to understand our history a little bit. And what I did, it started out with just trying to get old pictures of everybody. And when I found out, and I had this portable scanner and take my computer, so I didn't want to take pictures out of people's houses, they would pull the albums out, and then they would tell the stories. And I was like, wow. I mean, it really, because otherwise pictures just stay in a drawer, and these albums never get pulled out. So they were sharing all these stories, and I just found myself just engulfed in these stories. So it's I didn't know these people, but the family history became so intriguing to me at that point. And in the glow that these people had just to share what these pictures meant to them, it put my headspace somewhere else, where it's that's where we talk about playing with videos and doing all that. That's really what triggered a lot of me just capturing pictures and all this stuff and doing that.
When you dig a little deeper and understand where you come from, it was things that I learned about, my grandfather, for example. My father's father is from Montreal, Canada. And, he had to basically provide for his family in 8th grade. It was a whole story that I never knew. And then I'm realizing I would hear stories about different people and characteristics, oh, I see, that's why I'm kind of like this. That's what I'm kind of, and I think that's what's important about knowing that family history and having a certain level of respect and reverence for it.
We all saying the same thing. We try to make sure we say it in a way that's not we just dissing our relationship with our family. But if the relationship ain't there, the connection is not really there. My last name is Kemp. I don't know. The only Kemps I know is my dad, my uncles, and the Kemp men in that core. Mm-hmm. I don't know my granddad, where the name came from. My dad never met his dad. I think only one of my uncles ever met him. He only met him one time. So we got this Kemp all over somewhere that we related to. I know nothing about.
To be honest, I think a lot of this has to get traced back to slavery times.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I think about other cultures, and I don't think they have as many challenges with this, or not. No, they do have challenges, but the family is put in the highest esteem, right?
Yeah.
You have certain things where they're not gonna, I think about, let's say Asians, with the dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
They have certain things that they're going to do. And, it's stereotypes coming with that.
Yeah.
They're good at math. Now, all of them are good at math.
No, they're too.
But they're going to work because they understand this is what the family does, the culture, and they take pride in that. We're not going to disrupt that. Now, with a lot of us and our culture, we don't have that deep connection to everything because everything was so strategically disconnected. And that's where the real challenge, it's not anybody's, it's not our fault.
As Black men, especially as Black people, the family dynamic was totally turned on its head and really destroyed to the point where we didn't really want to share our history because it was slavery. And in that family dynamic in slavery, we had a family dynamic, but it was rooted in this whole being a slave, wives being, taken from their husbands, husbands being sold off, kids being sold. So it's fractured. And then even when we come together as a family, I would say that still that piece is there. Listen to you. You might talk to somebody with Irish descent. They probably know all about their family history, and they've been taught that to value that, right? And then go back and they have pride in that. We as a people, that's not something that was in our culture to where we would talk about the immediate family, but wouldn't take pride in our whole genealogy, where we came from. We didn't spread that, pass it on and on and on.
But that's what we need to, though. We need to, and that's the part where like the Frederick Douglass book I think of.
Yeah.
It's not that because that's not where our history started. Another thing, that's the biggest strategic move to disrupt a culture. It was accomplished 100% because you're talking about slavery was what 300-400 years,
1500.
But I'm like the duration of slavery.
Oh yeah, 400
years. So think about how many generations that were. So you completely tried to wipe out what happened before, like what we actually come from, which is kings and queens. And that's the part where I think we all have to bring back more of a sense of, no, we did come from this high status. It wasn't slavery. That was a part of the story, but this is really where we came from. And this is why we achieved so much, to be honest. I think we achieved unimaginable goals. Our ancestors been through so much, man. And it's like, we literally are the dreams of Martin Luther King. When he said he had a dream, us being able to do this, have media, just express ourselves, this is the dream. This is a part of that dream.
And coming back, I think when we talk about family and friends, then we done set that context up where at least why the struggle for family with us as a people is a challenge. And probably why friends are so important too, because friends do become our family, really. I mean, I really think that's what happened.
There's the family that we don't know, okay? And then there's the friends who have become our family. Now, it's important to understand the history. You talked about the different cultures and how important family is. That importance has led them to build relationships with everybody. I know who my uncle is. I work at my uncle's shop. Like, that's a relationship right there. And so if that's not there, then the importance of it, in my mind, is not there. I want to bring us to Mark 3:31. Then Jesus, his mother and brothers arrived, standing outside. They sent someone to call him. A crowd was sitting around him, and they told him, your mother and your brother, they outside, they looking for you. And Jesus said, who are my mother and my brothers? He asked. Then he looked at those seated in the circle around him. Here are my mother and my brothers. Whoever does God's will is my brother and sister and mother. The thing is, we talk about, because this is a very spiritually led, this is a very spirit-based biblical podcast right here. One thing that I think that everybody we understand is, you've talked about it before. It's not your kids or my kids, it's our kids. Mm-hmm. This is a community thing. Yeah. This is a culture thing. And so, if we're all believers, if we're all following Christ, we're all doing God's will, this is our family. Mm-hmm. And so, just take the example of, I might have gone to church at one point in my life. There's the verse that talks about getting to heaven. And then you but I did this thing back in the past. I gave to the poor. I gave my tithe and offering 20 years ago at one point, and it was a whole $100. I needed that $100, Jesus. And Jesus is like, I never knew you.
Yep.
Relationship.
Yep.
So again, family or friend, family over friend.
What family is defined as someone, a blood relative. That's how we define it. And that's family. That's what it is. Okay. But that doesn't make that person closer to you than a friend. And as you talked about the scripture you looked at, it's about the relationship. How did you, How did you interact with me?
Were you there when I needed you?
Exactly. When I needed help, you helped me. When you cared about me, you checked in on me. You did these things with me or for me, and and so that relationship, I know who you are. And Jesus said, "Hey, yeah, you did all these things, you think on my behalf, but you didn't do them with the right heart. So I don't know who you are. You're not of me. You're not part of my family." So I really think we redefine family as, hey, those people who we have a relationship with, who we are close to, that's our family.
If you want to be of the mindset that, the blood family or your blood related family is the people who you hold in high regard and you're always there for, and you're always, on call, you can help. I think you need to, if you want to have that mindset, you also have to have the mindset that I'm going to actually do the work in building relationships with these people. So like my family, for example, after my great grandma is not with us, my family is going to be looking real different, because she's the one who's pretty much keeping this whole thing together. And it's like, it's been like generations of men who have not showed up, or men who have been here but don't do anything. And so the family is kind of like standing on these females who have been extraordinary with what they've done, because they just had to make it work and survive and keep these kids fed and in school. That has been what they've done. And they've done an amazing job at it, but there's so many holes because the men have not been there. So many holes because the men didn't do what they were supposed to do. So many holes because the men never became who they were called to be. And so now I've got so much family that I don't know, have no relationship with. I've got so much family who's like, shoot, I'm telling you, like, just being real. Like, I've got my generation of like cousins. A lot of them don't want to get married. A lot of them don't want to have kids. I'm like the only one who's like, I really want to, like, that's a thing on my agenda.
But that's what Jesus is talking about. We as Christian families should be looking out for one another and seeing to each other's needs. And that's how you become part of the family. And going back to what you're saying about our family relationships, honestly, my closest bond with a lot of my family is by the spiritual walk. We have a prayer call every month as a family, and we talk about it. It just started maybe a year ago. It might be 2 years, I can't remember. But the point that we always talk about how I'm connecting with relatives and cousins on this prayer call that I didn't connect before, but it's because of our spiritual walk.
I'm gonna ask. We got two people, hypothetical scenario here. We got two people. One is your cousin. Okay, they're your cousin, you just don't know them. Like, so your auntie said, "Oh yeah, no, that's your cousin, so and so." Okay, and then we got this other person who's your friend. You went to school with him, you grew up with him. You at the prom, you was there with him. Like, y'all in the same prom photo, you in the same graduation photo. After that, you're your best man at his wedding. Two people. One of them says, "Mike, I'm in trouble." And they take in my house. My lady, she done left. It's tough for me. Ford just said some crazy stuff, and I'm out of here. I need help. Can you help me?
Well, you gotta call Jesus first, brother. That's the first call. Because this is the reality. I know this is probably not the direct answer, but the reality is, I want to help in the capacity that I can help. Now,
no, Mike, I need to be at your house. I know you're doing good. I've seen you on Instagram. I'm trying to stay at your house in that extra room that you got, because I know you got it.
Yeah, that's we'll have to unpack that. We'll have to talk about it, because I don't know if that's the capacity that Jesus wants for this situation. So we got
to give me all that Jesus. I'm trying to stay at we family. Did you not hear from your aunt?
Therein lies why you might not be out to help that cousin.
Yeah. Anytime it's more of a anytime I don't move out of pressure. So anytime you gotta hurry up and buy, it's like I'm gonna be quick to hurry up and slow down. So that the more, usually the answer reveals itself. The more questions you ask, the more you start kind of peeling back the onion, it's like, nah, I don't think this may be the best situation.
Yeah, because, and as you go through that, because I hadn't been that particular calm, but I've had calm. And in my head, the first thing, to your point, I'm asking the question, so what's the situation?
Yeah.
How do we get here? What do you need, specifically need help?
Yeah.
And like, well, I need some money. Well, what you going to do with that money?
At the end,
This, you know what I'm saying?
So at the end of the day,
You
we
all in
got,
my business. Well,
got-
you impact my money, not my
It's my business too. We got James, who's your long lost cousin. We got Ricky, who's been your friend and grew up with you.
Okay.
Both of them are asking for the same exact thing.
Okay.
How we playing this out?
Same scenario. If James and I don't have a relationship together, I don't know James' background. I don't know how he handles his father. Those same questions is like, okay, dude. Now, Ricky over here, me and him, we go way back.
We go way back.
I know him. I know I know whether I should give him the full amount. I know whether if I should give him half. I know if he gonna pay me back or not. Cause
I know if he mess up with Susie, I ain't giving him nothing because it's gonna be in her pocket.
I'm gonna ask him. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna ask, hey, what's going on? How did you get here too? But the cousin, I'm gonna ask, okay, how did you get here? I have no history with it. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying I'm not gonna help in some kind of way, but my thing is like, I don't believe in putting money in people's hands. So if you tell me you got a bill, you got something else going on, okay, tell me what the bill is, and I might be able to help you with some of the bill. You know what I'm saying? If I do anything. But if I listen, I'm getting some of those triggers pop up. Okay, wait, man, drugs involved. Oh, I like my man. Okay. Well, because to me, that's not help. To me, it's like the help for that person might be, you need to call this number for help. They can help get you fed. They got a program. And if you willing to, because here's what you get too. Oh man, I don't feel like doing. I'm like, well, you don't want help. That means
be real.
Yeah. So Mike said it, like, I think I can't know how you word it, but you ask the questions. It's the truth will reveal it. So I don't know how you put it, but you put it kind of. You said that you got to keep asking questions, and the truth.
Yeah, the truth reveals itself. Yeah, it was funny because it just made me think about this interaction with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, where she was a big presence, and she was like a stern hand. She was real cool though, and I'll never forget this. We were riding one day, and I think we stopped at like a red light. It was like Davidson and Livernois or something, and it was a homeless guy that he was begging for food. And she was like, this is a funny story, but she was like, well, I got this hog-head cheese and these crackers. Say, I can give you that. He was like, hog-head cheese? When I don't eat that. He said, well, you ain't hungry. You not taking the help I'm giving it. For whatever reason, it made me think about, like, when you were saying, like, I'm asking questions, I may pay the bill, when or if it makes sense, but I'm not just. A lot of people want help the way they want help. They want you to do what they want you to do. But you like, well, that's not making sense to me. I may provide help in this manner. And if it don't look like what they want, then it's not good to them. And that's where the problem comes.
Thing is, it's like, typically, in that scenario, whatever they brought to you is most likely a symptom of the problem. You gonna know more background about Ricky. Actually, I know you just don't set budgets and you don't stick to it. So let's start there.
One thing though, I know we getting close to time, but this is one thing I thought about too. Sometimes, I've done this before, where you basically, you pay a fee, I call it just paying your fee, and orders. Now, I know you ain't gonna pay it back. It's a nominal fee that I'm comfortable with. If that money don't come back to me, I made my peace with it, but now I paid you to where you can't never come back. Because you got an outstanding bill. Yep. So you can't keep calling me, because last time we had this discussion, you didn't make that right in the first place. So you can't come back to me either.
I'm totally with you on that. And the funny part about it, some of those individuals, they think that you have a bad memory. But to your point, you're right. Like, okay, yeah, we just, I like that. It's a fee. You're right, because they will, and you say, oh, cool. I'm gonna get back to you. And you don't never
ask, never comes up.
Yeah.
But you better not come ask again.
So closing this thing out, I think we've definitely kind of we've brought to light the differences between how families operate today, the family dynamic today versus the family dynamic back then. Back then, from the stories that I've heard, people were in like communities. People were in like, it was almost like a village kind of mentality where it's like, you know, even when we talk about how, you know, someone else could whoop your kids. Cause we all the same. It's you in this community. These are our kids around here. We all protecting each other. We all looking out for each other. And so with that, there was relationships that were built. There was a background to it. Like, I know who so-and-so is. I know what they done went through. I know what streets they grew up on. But today, we so much more divided, and we're so much more kind of scared and protective of what we've got, that we're not building those relationships the same way. But in essence, though, when we talk about scripture, we talk about the way that Jesus operated. It wasn't necessarily, okay, are we blood related? Okay, then I'm gonna help you. No, it was more so, okay, do you believe? And also too, are you anybody on this planet that needs help? I can help you, but this is the level that I can help you on. I'm gonna do what I can, and I'm gonna give what I can. I'm gonna love my neighbor as myself, but that's not dependent on whether you're blood related to me or not.
Yeah.
And so now we have these families that have been made up of people who you built the strongest bonds with. And so I say that to say, build real relationships, essentially. And so I actually, there's a community of fellas that, you know, if you want to start this new family, Rodney, you want to give him a little bit of light on this?
Well, Martell's referring to is Man 2.0, and that's our program that actually we meet the second Saturday every month in person in Ferndale, Michigan. And what it is just taking the biblical principles of the Bible and using those to help us become the man that God designed us to be. And we are a family, we're a community. We got a trusted group of good brothers. Hey, we all in there, and we had a great conversation. We want you to come out and join us. Do you want to understand what it is that God designed for a man?
Boom, facts. Hey, if you like this episode and you're going to love the episode on your screen, go ahead and press it, and we will see you there. Peace.